Hello everyone, it's Marie from Skeletorama again. Welcome back to my channel. Give it a house shift. How is everybody? I'm doing good. So again, as you can tell by the title of this, the very simple, of course, that I thought was going to be very simple, it wasn't. Building of the crate video is going to be 3 parts just to make it a sane length. And of course there will be chapter things broken up within it as well, just so you'll know where you're going on them. But yeah, so this is part 2. She says, putting up 3 fingers. What a genius. Part 2. Let's try it that way. And we're going to be actually building the crate itself and putting the labels on it and all that kind of good stuff. So enjoy. All right. So now we've got our stuff drying. Now you can see it better because it's on the it's on the paper. But so this stuff's dry, more or less. Got the chain over here, so it's kind of up and out of the way. I have the table here, and I have this, a piece of paper, because I'm going to write down the measurements. So we'll see, maybe that'll help. I doubt it. So what we're going to want is, it doesn't have to take up, exactly this stuff and fit under here, but we do want to make sure that it fits, because I do have this habit of making things and they don't fit. So know your limitations. Okay, so I'm going to turn it upside down, and I'm going to see about how far it is from, say, here to here. So we're looking at about 2.5 inches. So maybe the crate will go 2 1/4. Okay, so we're going to go 2. We're going to get the pencil lead to function. Come on. Out you go. 2. Oh yeah. Okay, you're actively rebelling. You know what? I have a pen. I'm not afraid of you. Stupid piece of garbage. There. 2 1/4. Not getting in my way this time. Okay. And then about how big do we want it? So I'm going to say maybe like 3. I think 3 inches. So that's going to be the base of it. And then as far as height, let's say, well, let's do like 1 3/4. I don't want it to be too tall, but I don't want it to be too short. Yeah, let's do 1 3/4. So 1 3/4 tall. Because obviously I'm going to need to know that in order to do the base and all this stuff. And I'm going to do the top flat. I debated doing like maybe a chest, like a treasure chest type thing, but if it's flat, we can stack stuff up on it too. So then maybe it's not, some sort of failed Frankenstein lab experiment beastie thing in there necessarily, but it could be, something valuable or something very poisonous. I don't know, whatever it is. But then he can stack other stuff on top of it, so we can keep that kind of mess sort of look going, maybe. So we'll see. So, got my measurements here, and I'm going to grab my stir sticks. And craft sticks, stir sticks, if you go to Starbucks and you get coffee all the time, and maybe you don't need to stir a Frappuccino, but, that would justify you leaving with, say, one of these. You could save up, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes they're cheaper to buy that way as well. So with craft supplies and any kind of stuff like that, always think, is there an alternate use for them? So if you go in and get, say, wood pieces in the craft section, they may cost, for this little pile of them, $4 because they're specialized. But if you go over to where they keep the stir sticks, it's the same thing and they're 99 cents. So, do keep an eye out for that. But me and my budget-friendly tips. All right, so since the 3 is going to be the long side and the 2 1/4 is going to be this side, what we're going to do is we're going to see how many of these is that, right? So I'm just going to start like, because we're going to have these, we're going to glue them, so that they're side by side, right? So we don't want to try to measure too exactly, because I'm not going to do a half of a stir stick. We're not going there, right? So like 3 more. See how many that's, because that'll change that measurement, right? So it's about 2.5. Okay, so we'll take 1 away and kind of put these together, put them up real nice, and see where we at. So we're just under, we're about 2 1/8, which, you know what? that is fine by me. I'd rather be 2 1/8 than, you know, go that extra. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's 9 of them. So it's 9 stir sticks this way. Okay. And so then we now know that we need 9 for the top and 9 for the bottom. Now, when we want to do the sides are going to come up 1 3/4. Well, it's going to be less than 9, so there's that. So let's do 6, let's do 7 and see what that looks like. So that is, ooh, that's pretty much exactly 1 3/4. So that's going to be 7 stir sticks. I promise it sort of makes sense to me, but it may also explain why when I have to take notes for stuff for work and I go back to reference them later, they make like no sense. I'm like, what is this gibberish? Okay, so when we do the sides, again, we're going to do them like this, so we know we need to go 7 of them high. Okay, we're going to do the base like so, and then we're going to attach the sides to the base like this. And so we're going to have the sides be the same length as the base, which is going to be 3 inches. And once we get those together and the top, then we're going to do the ends. So the end is going to connect with all 3, you know, sides like this. And we're going to need it to be slightly different. So that's why we're going to wait to do that until last. Or we can glue them across. We'll figure that one out when we get there. All right, so we've got the top and the bottom, so we're going to need 18 at 3 inches. And then for the sides, those are the 2 long sides, so we're going to do 14 at 3 inches, which is 32. So I need 32 pieces that are 3 inches long. So I'm going to start cutting, and I will see you guys back in just a minute. All right, so we've got these cut out. And I was able to get 2 from each one. This one, you know, keep an eye out on those craft sticks, by the way, because sometimes you'll get, this is super thin, like a veneer. But out of one of these, for the 3-inch pieces, I was able to get 2. So that worked out nice. So now we are going to glue them together as soon as I open my glue. Okay. At least I didn't yank the top off this time. So I'm going to be using the Gorilla Wood glue because it's very strong. And it grabs pretty quick. I'm just going to put some on my little piece of paper. And then we are going to start doing them. So I've got them grouped into, we're doing 9 for the bottom and the top. We got 7 for the sides. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then we're going to do, you know, support pieces across, but I want to wait on those support pieces until I've got these together so I can make sure it's measured fairly accurately. And then let me scoot these over so I've got a little bit more room to put the finished ones here. I've also got my 1, 2, 3 blocks, so I want to weigh them down so that they'll dry nice and flat, because I want them nice and flat. So let's start with this one, and I have my glue on the piece of paper, and I've got my toothpick, and I'm just going to put glue on one of these long edges of this here. And I'm going to make a big mess because we learn nothing from the last thing is me plus glue equals mess. Mess, 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 but that's fine. And then I'm just going to put this here, and I want to try to line those up, you know, as close as I can, and move it just so I don't, you know, glue it down to the top. And since obviously we don't want to try picking that one up, we're just going to put glue on this one and keep attaching until we've got our 9 of them for the bottom piece. So I will fast forward through that and meet you guys at the end of this. And I've just mixed my sticks up, so okay, fun. I'm going to have to count. This ought to be good. Okay, so we've got these ones. So this is 9. I'm going to scoot this here. You always want to kind of scoot it on your work surface as opposed to trying to pick it up, because it'll totally just fall apart on you if you go to pick it up. And I'm just going to sit this on top of here, just kind of hold them down, hold them in place. We'll let that dry, and I will get on to doing the rest of these, and I will come back when I have those done and they're dry and we're ready to put the support pieces on them. So see you back in a minute. Okay, so we have our top and our bottom and our 2 sides. And as you can see, I mean, are these completely straight? They're not. I am going to sand them at some point, but I'm not going to sand them in this state, because even though the wood glue is real strong, yeah, the chances of me having them break off in my hand are pretty high. So I'm going to put these on them first. So I was originally thinking of using this. I may on the sides. It'll make more sense on the sides, but I kind of want it to be different. So I'm going to use these. These are, oh, let's see, about 3/8 of an inch. And they're maybe a 1/16 of an inch wide. It's one of the thinner strips that you can get in those variety packs. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. I'm going to do 2 of these per thing. Now we could measure with the ruler and then measure on here, but come on guys, you know what's going to happen when I do that. So let's don't do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it next to this, and I want it to go right up to the edge of that and right up to the edge here. Make my pencil mark just to the outside, and then I'm going to open my easy cutter and I'm going to bring it down here, and I'm going to go just to the outside of that pencil line. Okay, so that should fit rather nicely on there. And so with this stuff, got my sandpaper, because see, it does leave kind of little scragglies. So again, only go in one direction. I put that there. I'm going to do the same here, and then I'm going to measure each one fresh. It's much better than measuring against the previous one, because you'll start decreasing in size a bit or increasing in size. One of the two. Either way, you're not going to be correct. Okay, so I'm going to do this one here, and come on, line it up and snip. And just a couple times on here just to knock the edge of that off, and of course, you know, like I said, we're going to sand the stuff. So okay, so there's that one. So I'm going to do that for this and for the 2 sides. That I'll just put on fast forward. Okay, so we have all of them cut now, and so now we are going to glue them on here, and then we'll do the same thing. We're going to weigh them down, just so everything has a shot at being nice and flat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take top, bottom, whichever this ends up being. Need some more of my glue, and I have a fresh toothpick, because those toothpicks will pick up a whole ton of that glue. They just get scary looking. All right. So we've got our glue, and I'm not going to measure this, you know, because I'm not going to be like, well, it's got to be exactly X amount from this. It's a roughly put together crate, and literally, look at this. Did you see this? My God. All right. Who let me out of the house? Oh, I'm not out of the house. I'm in the house. Still, how am I unsupervised? Okay. I don't know where to put this, and I'm not going to do something to it. Okay. Anyway, so I'm not going to measure, you know, a specific distance, but once I do decide where I want it kind of by eye on here, I am going to put these next to it when I go to put their little supports on. So let's maybe put this up here. You know, I'm going to drop something in it, or pick up the 1, 2, 3 block and drop it. Who knows? It's always something, you know. like I said in a comment not too long ago, it's like, where's Waldo? You know, because every single video I do, I will mess something up, at least one thing. So it's kind of like, oh, why don't I, when I have to look back at it when I'm editing it, it's like, okay, which mistakes did I make? My favorite ones are when I call PVA glue PVC glue. No, yeah, PVC glue, whichever the hell one I do. And then when I tell you, oh, do this thing, right? And then I immediately ignore it and don't do the thing. That happens so much, so much. Or I'll be like, this is 3/8 of an inch, and then within literally seconds, it becomes, you know, 3/4 of an inch or what, yeah. Oh, it's so fun. It's one of the things that they, you know, ADD is not just for kids, it's for adults, and it never goes away, ever. Never, never, never. You learn to cope with it. Or have fun with it. I have fun with it. And man, the focus that comes with it though, oh, you can't beat it. To be able to zone into stuff. Okay, so here's these ones here. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to kind of sit it next to it so that when I put its supports on there, it's going to be in the same place, you know, so that they all kind of line up when we put it together. So got this here. I'll put you there. And I'll get the extra, really. Oh, jeez. Okay. Yeah, I'll be cleaning that up in a second. I wear more glue, I think, than I put on things. All right. And then this can go here. Line that up. The glue off my hands because I'm just hopeless. And this one, since a bunch of it's squished out, I'm going to go ahead and get the extra off of here because we don't need it getting all lumpy over there. So while we do that, let's get this one real quick. We can set this one up here with this on it and kind of, you know, do them in shifts, sort of, as far as them being weighed down, because I only have the 2 blocks. It's just easy. Julie Warren makes it look like it's so easy to just, oh, poof, and all the glue is off. I don't know how she does it, because me, it's like 73 passes, and I've spread it, you know, 3 feet past where it was, and or needed to be, or any of that. Okay, so I'm going to put this here, but I can still see where this stuff is. I'm going to bring this one down. I'm going to do the same thing. So that way these will line up as well. There's some glue on the outside of that. Okay, so same deal. The glue on here. And then we'll worry about sanding it, you know, once this is dried pretty good. And I think we'll do it like once we get the box together. I think I'm going to put the sides and the bottom and the top on first and then sand it, and then we can do the ends, because I'm not really worried about or planning on, you know, putting anything in here. I'm not going to make it so it's going to open. None of that. This is purely decorative. And, you know, the little slats on here are tight enough together where, you know, we don't even really need to put anything in there to make it look like there's something in there, you know, so when you look in you see it, because you shouldn't be able to really see in there. Now if you did want to do that, you can of course do these slats a bit wider, and you can make, say, your support pieces first and then glue your main pieces to it, which I'll kind of show you a little bit when we go to do the sides, because that's kind of how we're going to do the sides, because since you're going to have the top and the bottom as a factor now, it's going to change basically the height of it as far as doing these end pieces and all that stuff. So yeah, it's going to have a different amount of sticks it would need to exactly match. So, and I promise that will make actual sense to someone that's not me at some point during this video. Probably when we go to do it. Although, yeah, no promises there. Why? All right. Down. And then once these are on there, of course, it's going to be a lot stronger. So, you know, it can hold up to being sanded and all that. And we're only sanding it just to make the ends even so that the other slats will sit even. We're not trying to make it look like some sort of fancy piece of furniture. You know, this is a crate you find at the produce store, not the crate you find at, you know, Anthropology, which is the exact same crate, but just sanded and more expensive, right? Some of those places are just ridiculous. But then again, they're, you know, the kind of people who shop there are the kind of people who don't need to comparison shop. So, it's like, all right, it's on you then. Okay. There we go. So, got most of the glue off of there. But again, now you're seeing why. This is why I stain, if I'm going to stain something for a finished piece of furniture, that's why I stain it before I glue it together. Because once you get glue on there, your stain's not going to take. And I'm not too worried about staining this. It's going to look better, kind of more as a rough thing. So, I'm going to let this set up a little bit, and then I shall be right back. And we will finish putting it together, and I think we'll put it together so it's going to be a box without the ends, and then we'll sand it so everything can be nice and square, and then we'll get the ends on. So, see y'all in a minute. So it looks like these are dry enough that we can start putting stuff together. So we'll use this one for the bottom, I guess. And we're going to put these on here. And, well, let's see, should we put that there or there? I think I'm going to put it on top. Yeah, I'll put it on top. So I'm going to put the glue here along this, alongside of it. And stick that there. It's very simple. Any boxes are really easy to make. That's the good part. So I'll take the top here. That's also what these 1, 2, 3 blocks are good for, is keeping stuff square. So let me turn it so I can see what I'm doing here. So I've got a shot at this being somewhat straight. What I want is for the sides to be like here, where the this part is on the outside. I want this to be even with the actual main portion of it. Wow, that was a whole sentence of uselessness right there. I'm going to kind of hold this for a sec just to help it grab, and put it up against this right here, which you don't want to do too soon, because what it'll do is it's going to, you know, try to make it all flush, and that's not quite what I want. But I do want something to kind of keep it square. Okay, there's that side there. We're going to do the same with this side. So put it on this long side here. I don't know why I'm putting glue on the actual bracing pieces that are going to overhang, but I am, so there we go. Just putting glue on everything. Why not? You know, it's just what I do. As long as I also manage to get it on what it's supposed to be on, it's a win, really. Okay, picking this up, and I'm moving this now because I cannot be trusted. All right. Son of a... Okay. There. That's just to kind of hold it. So we're going to let this sit up for a couple minutes, and then I'll be right back, and we'll put the top on. The nice thing is, you know, when we go to put the top on, we can adjust out. This doesn't have to be exactly perfectly straight, you know, the whole time. Thank God. Or I'd never get anything done. So, join you back in a second, yet again. All right, so that should be set up enough that we can handle it without it falling apart. And so now we're going to put we're going to get this glue kind of under control on this. All right, so we're going to put glue on these two top sides. We're going to put the top on as well. Because again, this is not something that we're going to have where we want to open it. If you did, obviously you do the ends and then find a way to hinge it or whatever, but I'm not terribly worried about this. Because if I leave this open, then I got to figure out what the heck I'm going to put in it, right? Okay, so there's that part. And we'll take the top and we will put it on here and kind of move this in as we need to line it up. Which it's best to kind of, I'll set it on the end. We can make sure it's straight too. That might be fun, huh? And sort of move these out as we need to. So that we know we're square here. Flip it back over. We're square more or less here. This time I'm just going to kind of hold it. Is there a bunch of glue mess on the inside? Yeah. Do I care? Not really. Because you're not going to see it. So, and I don't, it's still a bit delicate. I don't think I would put it like on its end and put something heavy on it, because knowing me, it would just go snap. So, don't need that. And this glue is nice and strong, so. All right, so now we need to do the stuff for the ends. So what I'm going to do is, and also kind of show you here. So this one, see how it's kind of curved? You need to watch for that with these two, because there's not, I mean, they're cheap, so there's not a ton of quality control on them as far as everything being the same exact width or straight or what have you. So I'm going to take one and I'm going to put it up against here. I'm going to kind of do a little line there. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut this, hopefully where you can see it. Move my glue out of the way. Get my sandpaper back and just kind of neaten up that end. So these are going to go here. So since this was 7, this will probably be pretty close to that. So I'm going to take this and I'll use the same one to measure. I won't like use this to measure the next, but I'll put this here and then I will cut this and I will continue until I have 14 of these. And by then this should have set up really well, so we can go ahead and attach these also. So we are back now and we have 7 cut for each end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up kind of spacing them a little bit. So I'm going to do one at the top, and I want it to connect to all these up here just to kind of strengthen it as opposed to just going across. So I will take my very exciting glue here and I'm going to put it on this edge of the box and up a little ways, and then I will take one of these and I'm going to place it right here, and I'm going to make it flush to the bottom, make sure it's even on both of the ends. And I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to do the same thing over here. And I know I said I was going to sand it, but it's actually not too bad together, and so I'm just going to leave it. Because I'm terrified I'm going to try to sand it and then I'm going to break it. This nice and flush to the edge, straight as we can. Make sure we're square and, you know, knock it right off of there because, yeah. Clumsy. Okay. So now we're going to do the center one. So we are going to have to space a bunch of these out, but in theory, since these sides each have the same stuff on the top and the bottom, that center one is in the center, right? At least that's what I'm telling myself. So I'm going to go ahead and put the center one right here on the same center piece. And just have this go across. And then we will, you know, put the other two and kind of wiggle however we need it so that the space looks right. Okay, so we got that one there. So now I'm going to go ahead and put glue on the rest of this, which I probably should have done to begin with, but you know, whatever. Now these I'm not going to necessarily glue between them because it's just asking for it. It really is. So yeah, we don't need that. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to put this here and this here, and then we can kind of, you know, move them around as we need to. And then same here, just to make sure everything's, you know, fairly evenly spaced for this, you know, fairly primitive-ish crate business. You know, so that's the nice thing, is it doesn't have to look perfect because, again, it's supposed to be, you know, this kind of rough shipping crate sort of deal. Okay, so that's that. While that is sitting there, I'm going to take this and I'm going to very gently mark that so I don't break anything. And I'm going to cut this, and I will cut one more for it so we can get those on there and add that stability to it before we flip it over to do the other side. And that's not sandpaper, not even a little. Okay. Oh, it's one of those days, is it? It is. Every day is one of those days. I'm going to measure that against this one, just because, you know, the chances of my making a mistake with a measurement from a ruler are much higher than the little bit of drift I'm going to get on that between one piece to the other, so it's not going to be too bad. All right. There we go. So these are going to go across here just like they did on the other sides. So we'll go ahead and glue those in place. And these ones, you know, since we don't really have anything else right next to it to notice that it's off, you can put them wherever the heck you want them. You can put 3 if you want. Why not? Right? Set that there. Make sure that's straight. A little toothpick for my exercise in futility here, getting the glue off. Oh, it's just not quite so lumpy, you know. Okay, and then I will do the same with this one. My glue's been out a little too long, so it's a little thick. All right, yeah, right on my hand. Love it. Okay, and then, you know, eyeball it about the same over here on this side. And we will let that sit for just a second, and then I'm going to flip it around. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and I will come back to you once it's done, because then our crate will be done. We will just still need to do a couple other things, and I can see by the image in the camera that these can be just a little bit more even. Okay, so catch you guys back in a sec. So now we've got the ends on, and they've had a chance to set up a bit, and while I was sitting here, I was like, oh, you know what we should do? Let's pick, okay, we've got this side and we got this side. I think I kind of like that side for the top. Yeah, why not? Doesn't really matter because you're not going to see it, but whatever. So I'm going to flip this over. I thought, you know, why don't I add these to the bottom? So this is a 1/4 by 1/8 piece of wood. It's like this. And so I went ahead and cut it so it'll kind of have feet and stand up, sort of like the ones that you use with the pallet jack. So I'm just going to add these little feet to the bottom, and I'm not, that one's like glued. That toothpick is done. Okay, so I'm just going to add these, and that gives it a little bit of height, little tiny bit of interest, you know. And instead of looking like, say, a fruit crate or something. Unfortunately, I didn't have one that was the same as the things we used for the stabilizing pieces in this thickness. I would use that. That's the only drawback to, you know, getting the variety packs, is that, yeah, you may get like one or two and then never see them again and that sort of deal. But all right, so let's put these on here. And yeah, fine, I'll get a new toothpick. Ugh, be that way. All right, get the extra glue off of there. And there we go, there we have it. So that way, as you can see, it looks like the kind, yeah, you would take the pallet jack to pick it up if it were something really heavy, right? So we can get rid of the glue now, I think. And we will let this set up. And then for the decorations for it, I did look at, instead of doing these, I thought, you know, I have a whole bunch of the Tim Holtz ephemera from Halloween. And it has different things, different labels and poison labels and stuff like that. So I think I'll pick a couple of them out and we'll put those on there. I think that'll work good. And then, yeah, and I'll come back and we'll work on the chains and everything once I've picked out some stuff. So back in a sec. Okay, so this has set up quite nicely, and I did check it, and yes, it does fit under the table. Yay! So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put some of the labels on it, because obviously once we put the chain and everything on, we're not going to want to mess with that. So I remembered about all my Tim Holtz labels and things, and then I went, wait a minute, I've got the Tracie Fox ones too. So Tracie Fox, it's LoveJunkJournals on Etsy, and she just does the most brilliant labels that are good for so many things, including this. So there's some that are made to look like, you know, they've got like the handwriting, like some kind of specimen something, which I thought was appropriate in this. And then I did pull out a couple of random ones. You know, this one's kind of big. This would have to go, say, on here, like so, which it totally could do. But I don't know if that would look weird or not. And then some of the other ones, we've got a fragile, we got poison. These ones are going to make you kind of commit to what's in it. So this is arsenic. Spirits of salts, I thought was rather rando, right? Poison, not to be taken. Okie dokie. And then this is some kind of red precipitate ointment. Okay, whatever that is. Does remind me of one of my favorite science things. If you're not part of the problem, no. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the precipitate. So that's a chemistry joke. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. And so this one here is like in French, so who the hell knows what that says? Unless you're French, then you totally know what that says. And you're like, yeah, it's like oranges or something. Whatever. So I think we'll put some of those on here. And I do have this is Tim Holtz did the ideology. Instead of releasing some of the other stuff, he did like a sticker book. And oops, as I break it, and it had these labels in it. This one's small enough, and it looks like kind of like an address label. As I have it way over the side where you can't see it. So I kind of scribbled in there to make it look like fake handwriting. So I think we're going to put that on the front. And so this, since this is going to be our front here, or do we want this to be the front? Yeah, we want this to be the front. Okay, so let's take this one here, since I now want to use this, and then I've got my distress ink, so I can distress the edges of it, because we don't want it looking real brand new or anything. The thing I hate about the wood glue is it ends up all over you, and then it just gets stuck to everything else. Kind of like in grade school when you would put glue on and like peel it off your hand. It does that, except I'm not one of the kids that liked that. So massively annoying. So I am going to use glue because I don't necessarily trust the adhesive on the back of the sticker. And so we're just going to put this kind of here. I'll put it here like this is some sort of an address label. And you know, you do need to make sure to press gently because, of course, you know, yes, we put it together and everything, but I mean, still, it's not built to withstand a whole bunch of, you know, pressure and whatnot. So, got a special delivery thing. Maybe have that like so. Yeah, like that. Okay, and this is just on regular paper. The Tracie Fox labels, whenever I get the digital labels, I like to print them out on sticker paper. It just makes my life easier. So let's make sure it's actually right side up. Might be fun. So we got special delivery. So you're mostly going to see this front and this end here, but we'll put stuff on the rest of it. See, I don't know that that's just slightly too big. I wonder if I can cut this down. Let's get the scissors out. And so these are the tonic scissors, so I want the logo facing away so that whatever I'm cutting that's on this side does not get the micro serrations on them. So we'll just go to this next level of decoration of it so it still kind of looks edged or something. Okay, so that should fit in there, yeah, just barely. We'll probably take a little bit off of here and a little bit off of this end. And then we definitely want to ink the edges of this. And then glue. So this is a fun part, and you can have it be, you know, whatever you want. If you wanted this to be like some crazy mad science experiment sort of thing gone wrong, you know, you could have it where it's got the chains on it and stuff, and then, you know, break a couple of these like it got out. Or what would be really cool is make it so that you can open it, but it doesn't necessarily say look like it can be open, and have a battery pack in there, and they make red LEDs, and 2 of those will look like some kind of monster eyes, right, staring out, which would be pretty awesome. But I don't have them because I did think of that. I'm like, that would be cool if I actually had it, and I don't. So yeah, there's that. All right, so let's see what else we want. We can do the specimen label. No, that's kind of big. Maybe this little small one here. Whatever this ointment is, we're not going to ask, you know. Probably best not to ask. Okay. Put that there. And then we'll keep going. So on here would probably be a good place for like something like this maybe. Or no, let's do this one because this one you can't really read very good. So it could be anything. So again, this one's on the sticker paper. And even though it's sticker paper, I'm going to put a little bit of glue just to be on the safe side. You can do this kind of like here. And maybe for private use. I should put this thing. What is this thing? Yeah, that's kind of cool. I think we'll use this one. Because again, it's, you know, it could say anything. And it probably says something ridiculous. I'll betcha. I'll totally betcha. Okay. Yeah. Confiture Fantasy de Tout Fruit. So it sounds like candy to me. Probably is. Maybe he really likes candy and he wants people to stay the hell out of it. I don't know. And then we'll put poison over here on the other end because maybe it's poison candy. Because why not? That'll keep people out of it, right? And yes, I know I didn't ink that, but I had already put the glue on when I realized it, so a little late. Okay, like I said, you're not really going to see that side of it. And then we'll put this one, which I am going to remember to ink the edges of, on the back. And that should probably do it. I mean, we don't want to tart it up too much. We just want it to look interesting. We don't want it to look, you know, completely overdone. So you got some candy and some elixir of iron, quinine, and strychnine. Really? That's all of those together with some alcohol. Yeah, you damn well gonna need it. So okay, I think that should do it. Yeah, that's interesting enough. I don't think we need arsenic. We don't need arsenic. Okay, so I will put these over here. And actually, I want to look in here because I do have some little tiny... Okay, sorry, I had to wait for that since, of course, I rammed the book right into the camera. Sorry about that. But I do have some really small number ones in with all these, like this. So maybe just grab a little number one for that one part. Oh, here we go. That looks good. I'll grab one more just in case I've decided that doesn't look good, in fact, and I want something different. I'll put the book over here because it's just kind of not quite balanced. Yeah, that is a little too big. Okay, so I'll put this little bitty one there too, just so it's got an odd number of things. And again, this is the part this part in the front of the part that you're most likely going to see, so we want that to look super cool. Okay, there we go. Okay. All right, so this part is good. And now we just need to figure out the what we're going to put the chains on with. And so for that, I am going to want my pliers. I do have the more pointed ones and the flat ones in order to get the links off of here. So the first thing you want to do is go, is my chain going to fit through it? Because that's rather important, really. So I'm leaning towards this chain here. So it's got a jump ring holding it together. So the jump rings, you just grab one side there, grab one side with these, and twist. Pull that off. I'll go ahead and close this out. Actually, we'll leave it open. We'll sit it over here. Actually, now that I look at it, it's nice and thick. That might be good to put on the front for the chain to go through. So we will close this. And we will keep this as a contender for the part that's going to go here. All right, so I adjusted the lighting a little bit, and actually I'll sit this up here to bring it up a little closer to y'all so you can see better. So what we need is something here, you know, where it's going to be locking or whatever, someplace for the chain to go through. So you're going to want to take the chain, and you're going to want to make sure that, say if we wanted to use this, will it go through here? Yes, it will. So that's golden. Will it go through these ones? I'll grab a link of it, and yes, it will. And will it go through this? Yep. Okay. So we've got those. This one here, Now, of course, you know, keeping in mind, obviously there's another link going through it, but you know, you still want to have plenty of room. And this one, yeah, it'll go through here too, looks like. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a few of these off. So this is the Rollo chain. So again, it's round links, and they're rather wide. And these you take apart just like anything else. There's going to be, when you have any chain of any kind, you're going to have in the links a place where it breaks, right? Because that's how they put it together. It just didn't magically go together. Key is to find it, and just like with the jump ring, you're going to take that on one side, take this on the other side, and you're going to twist. And you're going to remove it, and you're going to twist it back. And now we have this, right? And you can do that, like I said, with any chain. There's a few of them where they'll weld that together, but you twist hard enough on it, you'll break that weld, and it'll still usually be okay. So I like these just because of their thickness. I think they look good. Let me get my tweezers so that you have even the most remote of chances of seeing what I'm talking about. So see, like that looks in scale, and it looks good as far as holding the chain. So maybe we have one of these on the front, and then one on each side and one on the back. Yeah. So that's what I'll do for now. I'll take off enough of those to pull that off, maybe a couple extra, because, you know, obviously you're not just going to have it draping around. You know, you're going to want to have it going over and stuff too, so we can have it going over this way as well. All right, so we've got 4 of these. I do really like this one though. Maybe this one in the front and then those. That might work, because then we can get the lock on it. Because it's a jump ring, even though that is not made to come apart, this is. And so are those, obviously. But what we can do is we can take this and we can open it up like so. And then whichever you know, lock we decide on, that you just put it through here. So that way it's going through there, you know, and it looks like, yes, it's locked, and we don't have to cut that and worry about anything. Okay, so we've got that one, and we've got those ones. Now for the chain. So I think it might be good to, and since I've made this a little bit taller, now we really can, actually. I didn't even think about that. Oh, that's what we could do. Yeah, okay. Sorry, talking to self. So we can have this here like so, going once around this way. So that would be, let's say about here. So again, I want to break this off here. Instead of cutting it and sending metal flying, you just find a break. You get this untangled. Okay, and twist. You don't have to twist too far. And depending, like on a thin chain like this, you know, we're probably gonna just dump this particular link, but you just have to have it open enough to get the other ones out. It's very difficult when you don't have a lot of space on your links, you know, because there's like nowhere to grab. Makes it difficult to grab because you're trying to grab it and then you have 2 other links going through this thing at the same time. Makes it difficult. There we go. Okay. So now this one, we can just chuck that. I'm not even going to try to mess with that. So this will be the one that goes around. So I'm doing this so that I know how much I want to add the rust texture to, because I have to do the rust texture on the padlock before I put it on. So we got that part there, and then maybe we can have it doing the thing where it comes around too. So if we had it kind of giving it a little bit of slack, and we can always, once we put it on here, we can, you know, adjust how much we're using. So give it just enough here. And the beauty of this is, you know, we can put this stuff together and then add a little jump ring and have it be in the back, so you can't really see it. So we don't have to figure out, you know, a reason to have this. Or we can have two. I mean, we've got 3 locks, so you can always do 2. All right. Get this massively frustrating one off of here. Let's grab it with this. I think it's the type of pliers are making it a bit difficult. Really? Oh, you went there, did you? That's fine. Looks like I had gotten it. So there's a loose one. There's a loose one. Always make sure you find the loose one and get rid of it. The question is which. I think it was this one, right? Yeah, it's this one. Okay, so I'm going to put some of this stuff back. So we've got our piece here. Let's go ahead and close this jump ring up, because we're just going to go ahead and we're going to rust texture all of it. Now keep in mind, once we do the rust texture on here and you go grabbing it with these to pull it up, you are going to mess that texture up. So just know that it's coming. Acceptable losses, right? But most of these we won't have to worry about that with. So set this over here, and I will get everything ready to do the rust texture portion of stuff. All right, so that was the end of part 2. We've got the crate put together, and it's actually coming along really nice, and I'm very happy with it so far. So our next video is going to be the chains and doing the rust texture on them and putting the, you know, latches and the rings for the chain to go through, all that good stuff, and finishing it up. So yeah, I will see you guys in part 3. Hej med resef. Bye!